This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this another sunset safari from Djuma and andBeyond in Ngala. It's to have you all on board, and hopefully it's going to be a very productive afternoon. The sun is shining and it's a beautiful early winter's day. My name is Tristan. On camera I have got BK, and it is a very warm welcome, especially to the kids that are joining us from all around the world this afternoon. It's going to be guys on drive for the first 40. Remember, ask lots of questions. Don't worry, if you think that they're silly, you can ask away and we'll try and answer as many as we can. And you just have to send them through to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, and myself and Lauren and Sean will try and see if we can answer all the questions that you've got. Now, the plan for this afternoon is, because it's still very warm now, it's quite a hot day for this time of the year. I would imagine any of the cats will be sleeping, so they should be under a shady tree somewhere taking it easy, and so we're not going to really look for them just yet. We're going to go and check one of the water holes, see if there's any sign of elephants or buffalo, or any of the antelope, and then as it starts to cool down, then we're going to start looking around for the cats, particularly a leopard, because we've been really struggling to find leopards the last few days, and I'm sure we'll also just have a little look around in case the cheetah that Lauren saw this morning are here and back on this side, so we'll look for them. And I also have a surprise for you guys, which I'll show you just now. It's sitting next to me on my left hand side here, and I'll tell you all about it just now. It's going to be quite cool for you guys to see it, or hopefully it will stick around and won't go away too quickly when we actually show you. I'm hoping it will just sit for a little bit and you'll get to see it nicely. Okay, well, I'm going to head northwards. I'm going to get onto the fire break and head kind of northeast and see what's happening at Wolf's Hook. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Lauren so she can say good afternoon and tell you what her plan is for the afternoon.
Good afternoon. I do not know what is up with this male kudu. I think he is trying to impress that female, but I don't think she's going to be very impressed with that, do you? My name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera this afternoon, and we are enjoying this family unit. You look ridiculous, sir. I'm sorry. Somebody has to tell him that he looks ridiculous. I don't know what is happening. But there's also two youngsters as well. So we've got a female, a male, and two little youngsters here. And of course, a big warm welcome to all families that are joining. Not just the Kudu family, but families from USA, Canada, India, UK, Spain, and Austria. Hello. It's a very, very hot day. I'm sure Tristan's already told you, 30 degrees Celsius and 86 degrees Fahrenheit. These are the temperatures that I enjoy. Now, Mr. Kudu, please explain yourself to everybody, because this is just beyond entertaining. Tristan actually found a male. Oh, animals make me laugh no end. Tristan found a male with a reef around his neck, but I don't think this is the same one. This just appears to be stuck on his horns, and I'm really not sure if he knows it's there or not. Or maybe he does know it's there and he just thinks it's great. Shall we go closer, Davy? So I had a very eventful morning. For any of you who did not see the sunrise safari, you must check it out. I came across cheetah. There was 4, and it's a band of 4 boys. It's a coalition, the biggest cheetah I have ever seen. I don't quite know why the cheetahs here are bigger than the Masai Mara, but they are. And I double checked my photos. 100% there is testicles. I know there was some debate online about the sex of these cheetahs, but 100% it's a male. I can show you the photo a little bit later as well. And it was definitely a boy cheetah that we managed to get a good look at. So it's a band of 4 that have been seen wandering around. They were in Hunter's Moon 2 days ago, and I think they're just trying to find somewhere. They're trying to establish themselves in some way. So I think I'm going to head southeast again. It's my favourite place to be once I have checked on Ribbon, our favourite hyena. So we've got lots to do today in 3 hours. Just cannot stop laughing at this Kudu. He's very interested in the female. He's smelling her rear end. I think he's trying to establish if she's an estrus or not, but she seems completely disinterested. Where are your manners, boy? But that is how animals understand one another. Through chemicals, through hormones, through pheromones. So that's why he is trying to sniff her bottom to pick up on scent. Is she an estrus? Does she want to mate? Does she like my hair? I think the answer to all of those questions is no, no, and no. Londeka, can I just check you're still there? It's very, very silent. I'm just worried I've done something to my earpiece. And yes, she's still there. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. That's happened to me many times where I've been live for about 20 minutes talking probably nonsense and not realised it because I've been off air. So it's always worth to check with your director that you're live. Oh, Davy, I've got a beautiful butterfly here. You see this dead branch? Just behind it, there's a butterfly sitting on that plant. I'll move out your way. You see? Oh, what do we have here? Or what did we have? Oh, I think it's a blue pansy. It's very tattered at the edge of the wings. This is definitely at the end of its life cycle. I'm going to be very, very sad when we no longer see the butterflies around anymore, I must say. Okay, Kudu family, we're going to leave you be. Molly, I think you're 14 years old and you are asking about fences on the reserve. So we are in Djuma Game Reserve, which is in the Sabi Sands, the northern sector of the Sabi Sands. And yes, there is a fence going around the Sabi Sand, but not around Djuma. So when we actually want to come into this reserve, if we've been on vacation, we do actually have to do a fingerprint to make sure they know it's us, and they check out the car, they check out our ID, and that's the original sort of gate that we have to come in. So all the reserves here, Buffelshoek, Torchwood, Djuma, Arathusa, Chitwa, there's no fences. You can sort of drive freely and the animals can move freely, but there is a big large fence going around the Sabi Sands, and that's the sort of overall protective fence. You don't want animals roaming into civilization, especially elephants or predators. You don't want them causing havoc and going into villages, and you also don't want any humans, any bad humans, trying to hurt the animals. So it's a fence that protects both from each other, actually. Now, there was lots of elephants having a pool party earlier on, but I think they may have disappeared. We'll still have a little look and see if they were around though. And then we will head to the hyena den. I want to spend some time with Ribbon and Cubbies before I go on vacay. Okay, as I bumble on and look for some signs of elephants, we are going to send you all the way across to andBeyond in Ngala to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. So we've had actually very, very productive afternoon. As you can see here, we got the young Birmingham male. See, he's found a patch of shade here. So here you with myself, Sean. We got Owen behind the camera. There he is. And I'm actually having quite a tough time at the moment. So we saw this young male now. We found him maybe 5 or so minutes ago. And he was walking very, very badly. Very, very badly. Massive limb still, looking very skinny. Yesterday morning we saw him. I responded to a number of messages online that, you know, he had eaten and he looked good and he looked healthy. And, you know, the fact that he had eaten was really, really good. Given I hadn't seen him walk, only lying down, but I thought he was looking good. But now I saw him walk and it's not good. It's not good. He's looking extremely skinny. If you look, it's a bit hard now, but he should stand up. You can hear him, see like that? He's contact calling very, very, very softly. But his leg is at an angle. He's putting a bit of weight on it, but it's very, very skew. And this is the first time since this happened that I'm seriously concerned about him and if he's actually going to make it. So what is contact calling? So as I was saying, when we arrived, we had a very productive afternoon. We actually saw his sister. She's the one with the 2 cubs. And about half an hour ago, we found her moving her 2 cubs to a new den. So we caught her out in the middle of the river, one youngster in her mouth, the other cub trying to keep up, but it kept falling in her tracks and tripping. And they were walking down the river. It was actually pretty amazing. I think me and Owen had a fantastic time. And she walked down the river and then she went up the bank to a new spot. Now we can't see her. This young male was with her right at the beginning. And then he tried to follow, but he was watching her, and then she went up the bank and then he lost her. And then he tried to catch up, but he was too slow with his leg. And now he's been just calling. And understandably, she's not responding. If she responds, she makes a noise, it draws attention to where she is, and that could be a danger to the cubs. If she's got a new den site that she's moving them to, she doesn't want to attract any attention to that new site. So what I'm hoping is that he will sit here and he will call, and she will then place her cub somewhere and then come to him. Even if she doesn't call back to him, as long as she does come to him, he can then follow her back to the site. If she wants him to, it still depends. So that all happened maybe 100, 120 meters behind this young male. So in that direction there where he's looking, like 120 meters that way, she went up the bank. There's a very thick bush there, and I think she lay down in that bush. I saw her in there, and then we looked at the male, and then when we looked back, she wasn't there. So I think she just lay down there. Of course, we don't off-road, we don't get too close, so we can't be 100% sure, but I'm 98% sure she's put her den there. So the next couple of days, we'll definitely come and investigate here. But yeah, it's concerning. So Jess wants to know, 11-year-old Jess wants to know what would happen if a penguin saw a lion. Jess, one of them would be very, very lost. Very, very lost. And it depends on where. You know, let's say a penguin rocked up here in the Timbavati River. We had a flood. Somehow a penguin got involved and he rocked up down here in the river. I would imagine, Jess, the lion would try and eat him. The lion would try and eat the penguin, unfortunately. And you can see now that his calls are getting a bit louder. So what we're going to do is just, I'm going to keep quiet and we're just going to sit here and see if you can hear it. So he's stopping for now, but you can see he's calling very, very, very quietly. Now, he's doing this because obviously if he roars loudly, he's going to attract the attention of a lot of animals. Could be the Ross males. Could be any other males in the area that might come and investigate, possibly injure him even more. And he knows his sister's close, so he knows he doesn't have to call too loudly. But what you might find is the later it gets, the longer he sits here by himself, he might start calling louder. I'm not sure if you guys are hearing the calls. They sound very sad. You know, you see he calls 2-3 times and he stops and he listens. Okay, so we got a question from an 11-year-old Anvit wanting to know how many hours a day lions hunt. So Anvit, depends. You know, it ranges probably from about 2 or 3 hours up to 4 or 5 hours. You know, lions might hunt 2 or 3 times a night. If they're successful on the first time, it might only take them 20 minutes. If it takes them 4 or 5 times, it might take them 4 hours. It's, you know, with lions, 90% of their hunting will happen at night. So they have a window of about 8 hours to hunt. But then they've got to do a number of things during that night time. They've got to patrol, they've got to move positions, and they've got to hunt. So out of that 8 hours, you know, they sort of divvy it up between a number of activities. So it just depends. But what we're going to do, myself and Owen, we're going to stay here, watch this male, see if the sister joins up, just see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to send you back across to Lauren and Djuma.
We have a little bee eater, one of my favorite birds. I've not seen one in a very, very long time, so it's so lovely to spot one. And we have another bird to show you, off in the distance. We had two, but now we've got one, woolly-necked stork. I saw one for the first time in a long time the other day, and here we have it. We've got another one. Just perched on the tree. I think it was at this little pan here, and we actually disturbed it by accident, of course, by driving by. And two of them flew up into the air. Very large birds when you see them in flight. They're obviously a stork, so they're closely related to the saddle-billed stork. We used to see them a lot here. The yellow-billed stork, the marabou, the white stork, which I've actually never seen. Aren't they lovely, that contrast of black and white? But they do eat sort of aquatic insects and frogs, small fish. So it's a perfect place to be if you're a woolly-necked stork, to hang around water bodies.
Stations, Henry from Jakarta. Are there any updates, please?
Just turn down my radio. Now, Brian, you sent in a message, and I believe Mike and Matt, you want to say hi to me and that you will miss me. Hi, Mike. Hi, Matt. Thank you, Brian, for sending that in. I will miss you all, I promise. But I will be back. It's just a short break for now. I hope the leopards and the cheetah and Ribbon's cubs wait for me when I get back. It's time to take a rest, I think. Been a long stint, but Mike and Matt, thank you so much for sending that in. You have made my day. Oh, there's the other one. We should call one Mike and one Matt. Although I really don't know if they're male or female. I would imagine that one is male and one is female because they are monogamous, or said to be monogamous. Birds can be naughty. Was that a big yawn? Are we boring you? Aren't they gorgeous? Gemma, you're 6 years old and you're asking how tall can storks be? These saddled-billed storks are actually the tallest. And I think I'll just show you a picture of one, Gemma, because they're very, very cool. And according to my bird app, they can go up to 1.5 meters in height, which is almost 5 foot. Yeah, so just a little bit below me. I'm 5'2". So this is a saddle-billed stork, and you can see they have very, very prominent beaks that are red and black, and they have this yellow sort of wattle on top. The males have a little yellow bit here. Oops. You see this little tiny dangly bit here, and the females do not. And you can also tell the difference in eye colour. But they're very, very tall birds, 1.5 metres. So they're the tallest. These ones, the woolly-necked storks, are definitely nowhere near as big as the saddled-billed. And according to my bird app, they only go to about 85 centimetres, which is well under 3 feet. So they're still tall, but definitely not as tall as the saddled-billed storks that we get out here. Okay, let's take one last little look at these little bee eaters, if that's okay, Darby. I never get to see these little birds. Oh my goodness, there's 3 of them. All sitting in a line. How sweet. Okay, I think we're going to head to Treehouse now, because I'm wondering if there's any elephants here. I'd love to see some elephants today. especially that big bull. Would really, really love to see him. Okay, so as I make my way to Treehouse, we are going to send you back across to andBeyond and Ngala with their lions.
So we are still sitting here with this male. Not much has changed. We haven't had any reply. No one has come to him, anything like that. He's calling a lot less now. Spending a lot more time listening. I think what he might be doing, he's looking a lot into those bushes, so maybe he can hear or smell something that we can't. But at least he seems to have the right direction. So that young female, the sister, she went up, as I said, further back behind him. So at least he's looking that way. Now he walked past exactly where she went up. He was maybe 15, 20 meters from where I saw her. She didn't respond, she didn't stand up, nothing. So it could be she just doesn't want to be found. Because now you must remember, this one's calling, he's drawing attention to himself, he's injured. Let's say, very possibly it was one of the Ross males that attacked him. They might come back here to finish it off. And there's another big fight. And if he's at her den, that's obviously a big danger to the cubs. Oh, he's moving, just shifting a bit. We got a question from Sindal. Sindal's living in New Jersey. And Sindal wants to know how long this lion will live for. So, Sindal, it's a two-sided question. So this lion specifically, if he keeps deteriorating the way that he is, not long. Maybe a few weeks. If he was healthy and uninjured, he would live maybe 10, 12 years. The average for a male lion would be maybe 10, 12 years old in the wild. So he's only just over sort of 3.5, 3 years, 10 months maybe. So technically he's still got 6.5 years of life left. But with his injury, with his condition at the moment, how he's, in my eyes at least, deteriorating since I last saw him. I hope he makes out the end of the month. But it all depends, you know. Where's the pride? Do they come and help him? Do they come and look after him? Can he get food? Or maybe tonight the Rossmans are going to come and they're going to fight him. And he'll die tonight. I don't know. So we're just going to carry on sitting here. We'll probably spend most of the afternoon here and just want to see if anyone does come to join him or if he goes anywhere. So we'll keep you all updated. But in the meantime, we're going to send you across to Tristan. He's got a really cool bird.
Indeed, it is a very cool bird, particularly for this time of the year. It's incredibly late to be seeing a lot of the migratory birds, and this Levalence cuckoo is probably one of the last of the cuckoos that will be here. Now, normally, these guys are obviously around in the summer, and there's lots of them. This particular one looks like still quite a young one, so I suspect that with the late rains, the egg was only laid quite late, and therefore has stayed quite deep into the season. You do sometimes see them towards the end of May and very rarely the beginning of June, but very cool to see. These guys, unfortunately, are obviously brood hosts, and so they will use another bird it's flown away, in order to raise their chicks. And so for these guys, babblers are the ones that they like the most, particularly arrow-marked babblers in this particular area will get a huge amount of attention from those Levalence cuckoos. But really nice to see one. It's probably one of the last ones we'll see. It always makes me sad at this time of the year when you start to see it tailing off of all these beautiful migratory birds that are around. I always like to see them, and they add so much vibrancy and color, and they bring a little bit of a different sort of view to things. So I'm quite sad when we lose our migratory birds, but they'll come back again. Obviously we'll see them again at the end of the year. It seems as our buffalo were here at some point as well. Their dung is all over this road, the ones that Lauren had this morning, so I wonder if they're not hanging around somewhere here. The tracks actually don't look that fresh, so maybe these were prior to when Lauren found them this morning. They look as though they may be yesterday's tracks, because there's a sort of civet track on top of the buffalo tracks, and we know that civets generally active at night, and therefore if they're on top of the buffalo probably walked here before last night. And that's how you can age tracks, is use other tracks of other animals. It's one of the easiest ways to do things. I was actually driving this road more not for the buffalo, but actually for the hope that I would find tracks for little Klalamba. For those of you who don't know who Klalamba is, she's one of our female leopards that we see. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl, but she can be quite elusive at times. She's often on a very big mission, and even when you find her, it can be quite tricky just to stay with her and keep up with her movements. But she used to like walking this road a lot. When I was here in February, we saw her a lot in this area. It seems like she's changed a little bit in terms of where she's operating, but you know, it's always good just to go and check old haunts. You never know, maybe you get lucky. Come on, car. Go. Just easing over the bumps. Like I say, I've got a passenger on board, which I'm going to show you guys shortly. Just want to find a suitable place to put it. I was going to take it out at Buffelshoek Dam, but Buffelshoek Dam is a little bit too open, so I don't really want to put it there. So I'm going to try and find a bit of a better spot for it, and I don't want to put it in the drainage line here either. But when we find a good spot, I will show you who's riding along with us this afternoon. A lot of you are probably going to have a heart attack when we show you what is actually in the vehicle with us. Oh no, little firefinch flew away. There was a firefinch that was sitting on this little dead branch next to me, and then it's just taken off and flown. I was hoping it would stay there because they're quite tricky to get on camera, but it was just the perfect view. It was on this perfect little open branch. Normally they sit in amongst leaves and grasses, and it can be really tricky to be able to see them. So it didn't quite work out as planned, that's for sure. David, who's 14 years old. David, this is a tricky one for me to be able to answer. David, I don't know how much you've watched of Safari Live, but put it this way, I think in the time that I was at Safari Live, I probably had at least, and I mean this is a very conservative estimate, at least probably 800 sightings of leopards. So, and if you go over the years, it's been a lot. So it's difficult really to do that. Each sighting has a different meaning to it. Some are incredible for the behavioral aspect. Some are really incredible because of you've worked really hard to find that leopard. Some are incredible because you have an emotional attachment to that leopard. But I'll give you a kind of a few that really stand out for me as ones that, you know, I'll always cherish and probably never forget. Finding Tundi's cubs both times to be the first person to see her cubs in the last 3 years, bar this set. This set obviously was James, but the set before and Klalamba, I was lucky enough to be the first person to ever see those. And so that's a very, very special thing, to be able to have a situation where you can go to where there's a female leopard and she's trusting enough to allow you to her den when cubs are very, very small is an incredible feeling. And particularly the last set that I saw, in those cubs we think were born during the course of the day. So James had seen her in the morning going in and out of holes, and it was looking like she was trying to find somewhere to give birth. And that afternoon we found her with these two tiny little leopard cubs that didn't even have their eyes open. I mean, they could hardly even walk. And so that is an incredible privilege. For a leopard to be comfortable enough for you to be there and view that is very, very special. I've had quite a few really nice leopard interaction sightings. So Horsana with multiple other different leopards, Tingana, Tandi, Tlalamba, Tamba. I think the Horsana Tamba sighting at Twin Dams was probably one of my favorites as well. Just so intriguing to watch two young boys come together and watch their body language and how they went through that. I had a leopard playing with a pangolin at Lion Sands, which was pretty incredible. What else have I had that's been really amazing? I mean, I think just also the fact that I get to follow leopards as much as I do. I mean, Horsana in his entirety and the time spent with him is probably a huge highlight for me. So while it's not a singular sighting, oh, hello, little Steenbok. It's going to run away. While it's not a singular sighting, the ability to have spent countless hours with this male leopard and to be as spoilt as the way that we were by him and all the sightings we had was pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, it's a difficult question for me. Like I say, every leopard has a special place and every leopard has a special sighting that I remember them by. So there's not a single leopard sighting where I'm like, that's my best ever. They all have different meanings for different reasons. So yeah. All right, I'm going to carry on and see if I can find something that won't run away like our Steenbok. And while I do that, let's send you across to Sean back at Ngala and see how his line is faring and whether he's still sleeping.
Okay, so you see that's rolled over, so I managed to move a little bit and get a bit of position. We're actually a lot closer. We're 10-12 inches away. But now you get him when he does. It's a lot louder. Now what I think has happened is he's turned, and in these bushes there's a lot of rustling. Even I can hear, but what I'm seeing is a whole lot of birds flying in and around the grass and the leaves and stuff. Little wax balls and that sort of thing. So I think he's hearing those rustlings and he's thinking possibly his sister or her cubs playing, so he's looking. He's doing a lot of listening. But I haven't heard any replies, any lion noises. You can actually see its angle. Male. If you look at the legs, see you can see on its heart there it is. Probably there they see the one. That hippo, you can see the thigh bone, both 3 bones sticking out there. And so you see it's sticking out. We have a sort of these, be a bit something like that. It should clear up soon. But so that leg is looking better. Hoping this time. Paying over, you can see it very good. Generally in this sort of heat, lions are typically very lazy, very sleepy, dirty or do. So what we're going to do, see if we get out this 6 shoes, I'll send you Djuma, Tristan.
Right, so it seems like there's a bit of a signal problem with Sean, and so you guys are back with us. We haven't found anything yet, unfortunately. I would love to say we just found everything in that short space of time while you're away, but that is not the case. So we're still plodding along trying to see what we can find. The thing is that, like I always say, is patience eventually brings reward. Sometimes you're going to go through days where you're not going to see much and it's going to seem like there's nothing happening, and then all of a sudden it'll be like a cascade of sightings, and that will come through, and you'll get this kind of what we call a purple patch, where you get to see lots and lots of animals every drive and every day, and it feels like you just can't go wrong and you just find everything. So you just got to be patient and ride out the sort of quieter days as you then ebb into, you know, the better ones. The thing is, though, is actually, I say we've had quieter days, but we actually haven't had bad sightings at all here on Djuma. We just haven't seen many leopards, but, you know, we've had a lot of buffalo, a lot of elephants, those cheetah this morning that Lauren had, which was a very cool surprise. We've had good birds, there's been good general game, so, and the hyena den, obviously, so, you know, it hasn't actually been that bad, but unfortunately my problem is that I have a serious affinity or a serious love of leopards, and so when I don't see leopards I start to get a bit twitchy, and it's not a nice thing at all. I mean, in fact, I'm quite surprised that my eyelids are not twitching and I don't have a kind of shake, because I don't like not seeing them, I don't like not spending time with them, and it's been a very long time since I saw a leopard, so I would like to kind of break the drought at some point, and then hopefully once that's done, the floodgates will open. So that's the plan. Whether or not it happens, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we're on the eastern side of the reserve looking for Tandian cubs. I'm trying desperately to see if I can find any sign of her in particular. I would love to see her cubs. As I was saying earlier, seeing cubs is always a very, very special thing, and especially very small leopard cubs like Tandi has. So it would be nice to kind of see if she's around. I haven't noticed any tracks for her anywhere, but we haven't driven the boundary yet from where she was last seen, and so when we drive that boundary now, we'll have a really good lookout, as well as we'll have a lookout for those cheetah, because the guys said that the cheetah this morning they eventually lay up at Torchwood Dam, and then from there they got moving again. And so I wonder if maybe they haven't moved back this direction towards the cut line, or maybe they've gone towards Chitwa. So we'll just scratch around here, check Chitwa open, and see what's happening that side. There's also obviously the prospect of the Torchwood lions that were seen on Chitwa very early this morning that could also be hanging around. So it's a good area to be in, and all three of the big cats have been seen in this area fairly recently, and so it's a good place to look. And when you're looking for animals, that's always a good thing to do, particularly for territorial animals. So things like leopard and lions that have a specific territory, if they're utilizing a certain area or busy in a certain area, it's good to spend a lot of time there, because the odds are eventually you'll get it right and you'll find them. They can't hide forever. Okay, I'm going to turn up the cut line, see what I find. In the meantime, back across to Lauren, see how she's doing. I know she's not far from where I am. Hopefully she's having more luck than me.
I'm doing very well. I have elephants. Exactly what I wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see 4 elephants, but I imagine there'll be more. Would you like me to reposition, Darby? I'm not sure I've actually got... I wonder if I think if I go into the main road. Darby's saying it's okay. I really hope Tristan finds some spots. Leopard spots. I know how much he really wants to see his leopards. And I do too. I miss them terribly when we don't see them. I miss all the animals when we don't see them. And I know I'm really going to miss the butterflies, the dragonflies, the damselflies as we go further and further into winter. But the elephants will still be around in winter too. But there'll be a very different energy about them. And I know that sounds rather strange. But it's a stressful time, winter, or, let me rephrase that, sorry. Generally, winter is a stressful time because water is scarce. Their diet has to change, not because they want it to change, but it has to change. They're maybe not getting as many nutrients as they normally do. But this winter, I'm intrigued to know what's going to happen. A lot of the pans have dried out. BK and I noticed some this morning. Davy and I have seen some this afternoon, that the existing pans are starting to disappear. But still, I wonder if the larger pans like Chilla Pan and this little pan, Lauren's pan, will stay full for longer. So I'm not sure this winter is going to be too harsh for the animals. But let's see. The elephants are very relaxed. It's been a while since I've encountered an upset elephant. I think summer has just brought so much joy to them. There's nutritious and delicious food everywhere. Ati Manu, you're wondering about the difference between African and Asian elephants. Now, I have an image that I'm going to show you. I just need a moment to find it. That really, well, I think it's a good image. I spent some time with Asian elephants in Sri Lanka. So here we have it. We'll just quickly, I'll take it off low battery mode. Zavi shouted at me for that. That's why my screen goes black. But here we have it. This is a little comparison for you. On this side, you can see the African elephant is much bigger. And look at the ears that are said to be like the shape of the African continent. They're huge. If you look at the Asian elephant, it's definitely much smaller. You can see it's very small ears. Now, you may not be able to see this from this image, but the African elephant's skin is much wrinklier. And that's because it holds in more water. So when you see the two of them next to one another like this, there definitely are differences. They have differences in their trunks as well. So the African elephant that you're looking at right now actually has two little finger grasper things, two prehensile tips on the trunk, one on the top, one on the bottom, whereas an Asian elephant only has one, and that's because they use it for grasping different things. African elephants pull more with their trunks, like this one is doing, compared to Asian elephants. They also weigh, there's quite a drastic difference in their weights as well. So I hope that answers your question, but they are very, very different. And they're both beautiful in their own way. I think if I had to choose, I do love the African elephant. It's so magnificent. Now I believe 45 minutes is up already. Where does time go? So now, of course, as you know, we're going to open up the drive to everybody. But kids, please keep sending in your questions. We'll try to answer them from everybody. Amber, you're 10 years old. Hi, Amber. And you're asking about that wrinkly skin. Great question. So, they look like they need a good exfoliation, don't they? And they probably do, but it's wrinkly for a reason. And this is because they survive out here in the savannah, the hot, dry African heat. And they have evolved very, very wrinkly skin so that it can hold in water. So whenever it rains or whenever they go swimming, the water will actually stay in those wrinkles. And it will help to cool them down for longer. It will also hold in mud as well. And it will assist in holding in anywhere between 5 to 10 times more water than it would if it was a completely flat surface. That's the skin I'm talking about. So that's why it's really, really wrinkly, and it's far more wrinklier than the Asian elephants. And it's because of their geographical location. Elephant skin can actually be up to 4 centimeters thick. That's very, very thick skin there. So just a kind reminder to you all, you can visit wildearth.tv/support if you wish to support us in any way. There's various options there for you online. There's lots of chatter on this game drive. I'm just going to turn it up in case I'm missing anything. They're so relaxed around vehicles. It's all in your sort of the way you approach elephants and your reading of their behaviour. Very relaxed. Okay, I'm going to stick around with these Ellies a little bit longer because they're so magnificent, but we are going to send you guys across to Sean and his injured lion.
Okay, so we managed to shift some position, hopefully to get a bit better signal. And it also worked out because now we've got a nice front face shot of our beautiful lion here. And you can actually see the injury there. Those two little black dots lines on his back leg there. Those are the injuries. So you can see they've actually healed fairly well. I mean, that is not scarred over. There's a little bit of sort of reddy flesh near the top of that longer scab. So the longer scar there on the left, there's a little bit of reddy flesh, but it's healed pretty much. There's no open wound there anymore, not that I can see. And that's great, but it's worrying because now he's just smelling. And you can see he keeps sort of twitching it, so he's got control of at least that upper leg. I want to see him walk again. But it looks like that bottom half from wanting to be there sort of knee down is very loose. He can put pressure on it, and he did. But it's, yeah. You can see his face. He's still healthy up front. Got a good looking mane, got a beautiful face, very big. So if he can just push through. I was chatting to Owen, and Owen was saying that the Avoca males at Djuma have injuries. Asher. So we got a question from 4-year-old Asher wanting to know why lions have messy hair. So Asher, this is still a young lion. So as he gets older, his hair will become a little bit better. A bit more, still sort of scruffy hair, but it will look better. Him is just because it's a combination of he's young and he's sore and he's injured, and you know, he's not giving a lot of effort to his appearance. But it's only really the males that have these sort of tufts of hair, like the mohawk and the hair going on the chest, under the neck. It's their mane, Asher. So male lions have the mane, and as they get older, the mane gets bigger and bigger. Their fur, the hair there gets a bit longer, and it looks a lot better. He's just going through our version of his adolescent years. And so he's just got unruly hair. It's not paying much attention to it. But that was a good question, Asher. It made me laugh. And I like that he does have unruly hair. But you can see he is starting to sort of lie down now. He's been calling. It's getting still quite hot. So I think he's going to stop for now. Maybe have a bit of a nap, try and rest, recover a little bit. And then he'll probably start calling again a little bit later when it cools down. So I think what we're going to do is leave him here. I actually want to go drive the road up across, just to have a look of his sister, how far up the bank she went. Maybe she moved the cubs all the way up over the road to a different den site. Don't know. So, yes, Ilazu, 7-year-old. Would the sister want him? No, not necessarily. He himself is not going to injure the cubs. He's not a danger to the cubs. But he could attract danger to the cubs. So she's not going to want him there for that reason. He's not going to hurt them, but he could attract something that would hurt them. So she will be... That's why she hasn't been calling back. She doesn't want to be around her cubs. That's why I think she might come out here and join him out here, which is fine. That's why she hasn't been responding. She might just walk up to him, spend some time here, leave him, and then go back. But she doesn't want him around the cubs for the attention that he could draw. It's tough being a lion. It's very tough being a lion. Even a male lion is even tougher. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave him be here. We're going to let him sleep. We're going to carry on, and we'll come back here a little bit later. So while we do that, what we're going to do is send you back over to Djuma with Lauren and some elephants.
I'm just repositioning. We're trying to get onto the main road there, as all the elephants have crossed. But we managed to get a good view of this one for you. I wish I had big ears like this today. It's very, very hot. It's actually not that hot compared to the summer we've had, but I think I'm just not used to this heat anymore. I need to reacclimatize, if that's such a thing. I see those long, long eyelashes that help protect the eyes from the dusty environment. And also, if you notice, sometimes when they pull up the grass with their trunk, they wrap it around just like that. And they're trying to shake off any dirt and insects or anything that's on the grass. But they need to make sure nothing goes into their eye. And that's why they have the most beautiful eyelashes. I'd love to have eyelashes like that. Eileen, you're asking, can African and Asian elephants mate with one another? And no, they cannot. The genetic differences between the two are just too great. They cannot interbreed. But I believe they tried. And I want to say it was Chester Zoo in London, or in England, sorry. I'm sure it was Chester Zoo that tried many, many decades ago. And it was a young bull calf, and I believed it died. It wasn't able to survive, I'm afraid. The genetic differences between the African elephant and the Asian elephant are just too great. Now I'm going to go up ahead. Just try and keep my voice down low because this one's quite close. Don't want it to get a fright. And then we'll go around and see the other ones. If species or subspecies have a sort of similar genes, then they can interbreed. Just like the Ethiopian wolves, for example, they can breed successfully with domestic dogs. And that is because, well, they're both canids and they're very, very hello. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for disturbing you. And yes, their genetics are very, very similar, that they can successfully interbreed and produce fertile offspring. But Asian elephants, African elephants cannot. But I'm sure it was Chester Zoo, and it was a bull calf, I think, under the name of Motti. I'm sure its name was Motti, and it didn't survive, I'm afraid. just looking on that elephant's ear to see if it's a tick or mud, but I think it's just mud. He's just got lots of mud stuck to his body. It's not a tick, but elephants can get ticks. Jamie Pan, you are asking...
Do elephants have taste buds?
Taste buds? Sorry, I didn't quite get that one. Yes, I believe they do. I don't know much about their taste buds, but I believe that they do. And the sort of evolution of taste buds is very easy, because in order to get an organism to eat, there has to be some sort of evolutionary drive, if that makes sense. Now, what I mean by that is there has to be some sort of form of pleasure involved. Let's just think of humans and chocolate. We would never eat chocolate if it wasn't so delicious and it's so yummy. It gives us pleasure. It gives us pleasure in our mouth, and we taste it, and it's just so yummy. We want more and more chocolate, but sadly we end up getting a little bit chubby, you know, a moment on the lips, an inch on the hips and all that. So the drive for us to eat is because we get pleasure from food. And of course humans take that to the extreme, but with any organism there has to be some drive that causes them to want to eat, and it has to come from pleasure. So elephants are said to have a really, really good sense of taste. It's one of our senses. Although I believe we have a lot more senses than just 5. But of course we have sight, smell, hearing, touch and taste. And elephants are said to have a very, very good sense of taste, that they can discriminate between what they eat. Hello. So they will know what is palatable and what is nutritious and what is not. So yes, they do have taste buds, they have lots of them, but I think most organisms in every sort of group of animals must have some sort of pleasure from eating, otherwise there would be no drive for them to eat. I hope that makes sense. I was reading a book that speaks about that. Humans are animals, but let's just separate us for now, because it gets very complicated when you bring humans into the mix. I'm going to try and roll forward. But there has to be drives in order for animals to want to do things, otherwise they will not do it. Okay, I do have a bit of a roadblock, but we're going to try and see if we can get last views of these ellies. And it appears that Tristan has a hornbill for you all.
Well, with the hornbill, he did have a grasshopper in his beak, but I say he, I mean, it could be a she as well. It had a grasshopper in its beak and has now promptly swallowed it, I'm afraid, and has now given us one of those things where we are just staring at a really plain hornbill. Oh, well, they're pretty birds anyway. It's comical, at least. A lot of people love hornbills just because of their antics. They generally are quite entertaining as they go about their business, and hugely effective at the ability to feed. I kind of enjoy watching, particularly these yellow-billed hornbills that have got much bigger beaks. They can handle quite large prey. It's pretty amazing, actually, what they end up being able to take. I find they go after all kinds of things that are large, like that grasshopper that it had now, or locust, I should say. That was as long as its beak, which is pretty incredible, and managed to chomp that down. Anyway, okay, well, no sign of anything that we can find anywhere on this eastern side. Tundi is definitely, if she is here hiding, she's not walking on roads, that's for sure. We haven't seen a single track for a leopard on this side of the world at all. It's been pretty much just antelope and elephant tracks that we've been seeing, which, as much as I like both of them, it would be nice to have a nice fresh leopard track over the top of those, and we'll be able to kind of have a little look and see, or at least have some hope to be able to follow them. It's probably more what we're looking for than anything else. Is a glimmer of hope, and something that is going into Djuma rather than going out of it. That would be quite nice as well. Because this morning we got a hiding from our leopards. They, especially the boys, they walked all over the place and then left us high and dry by going next door. It's all hyena tracks, so that's not what we're looking for. This little area where we are now is also a nice little leopard section. It's got a lot of drainage lines and termite mounds and water points. Cat's got my tongue. Unfortunately, not wild ones. I mean, I have seen in a zoo when I was younger, but I have never seen a wild clouded leopard. It was fairly close to going to Borneo at one point, which would have been a possibility to see them there. But it is definitely on my bucket list. I have this really crazy idea. I'm not sure how I'm going to ever get it right, but I wanted to try and see if I could do all the leopard species in a single year. So all like clouded, snow, and then obviously all the subspecies of normal leopard, which is, Amur leopards, all of the others, Indo-Chinese, the rest. It would be a massive undertaking and probably an incredibly difficult one, but that was the plan, is to try and see if I could do it at some point and see if anybody would be crazy enough to come and do it with me for 1 year. And then the next year what I wanted to try and do was do all the big cats of the world. So basically just go and try and find them and photograph them and video them in a single year. So, birders do their big year, but I wanted to try and see if I could do that. I think it would be such a cool thing to go and try and get them all. It would certainly take a lot of adventure and a lot of fun. I actually said this to James the other day. I said to James that he and I should go and do the big cats in 1 year and go and just have a laugh, because it would be incredibly funny to go with James Hendry. He makes me laugh a lot, so who knows? Maybe, you never know. Maybe we get it right at some point. But like I say, I'm not sure how we're ever going to fund it. It's certainly not a cheap exercise to go and look for some of these animals, particularly rarer ones. Also not exactly safe in some places as well. There'd be some interesting ones to try and get, though. I mean, clouded leopard would be one. Snow leopard I think we would be able to get, but I suppose those also aren't really big cats in their sense, but it would be interesting just to try and see if you could do it, or to try and get as many cats as possible in a single calendar year. That'd also be a fun one. But you'd have a struggle to get certain cats, golden cat and jungle cats, palace cats. They would all be quite tricky to be able to pull off. So maybe one day I'll get it right, like I say, and I'll be able to go and do it. Maybe there's people crazy enough out there that would want to come do it with me. I don't know. Okay, well, we're going to keep going along. I actually just saw Lauren now, and apparently she's tracking. I'm not sure what she's tracking, but let's send you across to her.
Oh, am I tracking? I'm not entirely sure that I'm tracking. I'm actually changing directions because I also saw Tristan. So if he's going that way, I think I'm going to head another way. There's no point in us both being in the same area, but I'm definitely not tracking anything. Sorry, Tristan. The elephants are just up here. They have crossed into another property, but maybe I should go west. I had a good run in the east today. I mean, cheetahs on cheetah cut line, really? Really? Could it get any better? Ow, ow, ow. Sorry, Darby. And of course I want to get to ribbon, so I need to stay within the area in order to get to rib rocks. Oh, how I will miss that hyena. Now this is where the female leopard crossed in this morning. I wonder who. This is little Gowrie. Of course it's only speculation, but I would think Sabui. My best guess. You guys are still here. Can you get it from here, Darby? Oh, this area must be super yummy. Now, when you're on a boundary line, you do have to be careful of your speeds, because there could actually be animals just on the side there. You don't want to scare them. Rowan, you're 7 years old, and they have such big ears because the ears function as an air conditioning unit. It helps keep them cool. So it's the exact same reason that they're super extra wrinkly. It's all cooling down mechanisms when it gets too hot. It's a lot hotter and drier here in Africa than it is in Asia in most parts. I mean, Asia is a very, very large area that covers many, many countries, but tends to be more humid. There's a lot more moisture in the air than there is in likes of here in Africa. So their ears, they flap. You'll see elephants always flapping their ears on a hot day, and it's to keep them cool. You can also express mood through them. They can show you how they feel with their ears, but generally speaking, it's to keep them cool. And the biggest bulls will have ears that are 2 meters long. That's 6 feet. And they can weigh up to 20 kilograms each, which is about 45 pounds. So the ears can get very, very big. And you may have noticed that they're very thin. You can see the veins. There's no bones. There's a little bit of cartilage at the top to maintain structure, but it's just very, very thin skin, and that's for that network of blood vessels to lose heat, to help the animal cool down. And the ears are actually said to give out about 75% of all heat loss. So what that means is that they're very, very efficient. They're very good at what they're designed for. And around 12 litres of blood can be circulated through an elephant's ear, a large elephant ear, each minute. So they're pumping blood, and that's how the heat is being lost from the body. Incredible. They can't sweat like cats. Elephants can't sweat, so they have to have other mechanisms to help them cool down. Okay, I think we really will say goodbye to these elephants. And we're going to head west. I believe I have to send you over to Tristan with a surprise.
Surprises. Like I said, we've been carting around a friend with us, which I'm going to show you guys quickly. It's going to require me getting off the vehicle, and I'm going to put it in a little spot so we can get a nice view of it. It'll hopefully go off. It's a nice little area that we're in here. It's fairly well protected and quite dense, and so hopefully it'll be okay. But I'm sure most of you can imagine what this is. It is obviously got a fair element of danger to it, which is why it's in a kind of cooler box. Now, when you're opening these things, when you have snakes inside, is to always try and open away from you, so that if they come out, they're going to go that way and not into you. So we'll try and get him out quickly without hurting him in any way. Come on, buddy. Now, unfortunately, the reason why I have this with me is because in our camp today, we had 2 of them. Okay. Shame. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio on my mic, but it's basically a puff at it. But what I'm going to try and do is gently just put it down like that and hold the lid open. Can you see it there, BK? Hey? You got it. Okay, now the problem is that I want it to go out, but it's not going out. So we're going to try and just see if I can gently coax it. Now, of course, a snake hook would be much easier for this. Now, come on, buddy. Out you go. There we go. So, you can see it's got into a defensive posture. Now, I'm somebody that really hates people that handle snakes in the wild, I don't think it's a fair thing to do to a snake, to be picking it up and handling it. But unfortunately, when they go into our camp, it's very, very dangerous, particularly with puff adders, having them in our camp at night. People walk, and if they stand on him, then they're going to have a serious, serious problem. So it's important to rather get them out of the camp and move them, and that's why we took it out. Generally, I'm a big fan of just leaving snakes to be. And like I say, I mean, we don't want to really hurt this animal or for it to be stressed, but ultimately, it can't stay with us. And so it's going to have to go here for now. I was hoping that it would move a little bit, but you can see its posture at the moment is huge defensive posture. It's obviously feeling a little bit nervous because it's kind of been pushed out of this safe, dark place that it was in. And so it's gotten itself curled with its neck up, and it's raised its body slightly so that it's in a strike pose, that if it comes closer and it feels threatened, it can then deliver that huge cytotoxic venom. But you can see now it's just tasting the air, so it's working out where it is and how it's going to move to be able to get out of here, which is crazy. I'm glad that it's turned towards you guys. Do you have a nice view there, Biko?
Yeah.
But you see how that tongue is flicking? So that's basically it working out what's around it and whether or not it's safe and where it must go. It's obviously a new environment for it in this particular area. The thing is, though, is there's another one that's in our camp. After we caught this one, we saw another one, so I suspect that maybe, just maybe, there's a female that's been throwing out pheromones and the boys are coming to investigate. But this particular one is one of the more kind of pretty ones that I've seen in a while. It's got a really nice kind of golden color to it. Sometimes they can be a lot more pale, but watch how it moves. You see how it's walking on its ribs. Do you see how the ribs go forward and back? And it goes in a straight line? Isn't that cool? Absolutely amazing. Off you go, little guy. Like I said, I didn't want to release it anywhere where it wasn't thick and it wasn't able to find some sort of cover. Here is a really nice spot. It's got a nice little area that it can go to, where it can hide. There's a little bit of leaf litter, which is perfect kind of camouflage for these guys, which is awesome. That's cool. Oh, we don't need the stick anymore, that's for sure. I'm quite glad that BK wasn't too adverse to the idea of driving around with it. Some people freak out about having a snake in the car with them, but BK was pretty chilled, which was good. So, right, little puff adder, off you go, buddy. Let's see if we go a little bit closer, if he'll still stay there. Last time I saw it, it was moving. Oh, there he is. Still just there. So you see, once they get into the leaf litter area, they feel a lot more safe. They obviously camouflage there, so they're able to move around. But look at how pretty that is, that pattern. Isn't it amazing? I mean, I know a lot of people are dead scared of snakes, but they've got to admire the pattern, at least, on them. So cool. How's the camouflage as well? As soon as they get into that, it becomes incredibly difficult to see them. I mean, you can see even with the long lens and kind of punch right in towards them, you can't see it at all. It's amazing how well camouflaged these creatures are, that's for sure. Very, 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 very cool. See if we can just get more view of it. Ah, there it is. You can see it there, BK. It's just got its tail sticking out. There it is, straight in there. So it's found itself a little spot where it can kind of curl up and just camouflage. As soon as they're in leaf litter and in these kind of thicker areas like this, then they feel a lot more comfortable about things. When they're in the open, it's obviously a camouflage snake. It doesn't really feel that comfortable, and so its posture was very different when it was in the open. Once it's in there, it can then curl up and wait. It can kind of just sit and wait and be the ambush predator that they are. All right, so we're going to leave our snake. We're going to let it go off and do its own thing. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you across to Ngala. It sounds like they've got not one, but two lions.
outside. Okay, so we have had a few developments. So as we were leaving, literally 14-15 seconds after we said goodbye, this Ross male over here came walking out of the bushes. And he just came stumbling out, well not stumbling, he walked out, sort of smelt around this bush and scent marked a little bit, and then he just lay down. He keeps looking around, he looks at the young male. He spent the first sort of 5 minutes just staring at the young male. But you can see that young male's very unbothered by this other Ross male's appearance. But otherwise, he's been very relaxed, very calm. Nothing aggressive towards the young male. The young male's done nothing. I think he was close by though, and he heard the calling of the young male, came to investigate, found him, did a little dominance display, smelling, scent marked, happy with that, and now he's just laying down with him here in the river. Because remember, it's also much cooler in the river. There's a lot more shade, as you can see. Pretty much the whole river's now in the shade. Cold air sinks, so it's sort of cooler down inside here. So I think he came down to investigate, found him, and thought, yeah, good spot to lie down. We're just very lucky that it's the nice Ross male, the less dominant of the two. So he just came down, now relaxing. Now I think we might have heard him calling this morning. So remember we said we heard one calling. That was the brother, the dominant one. And this one replied once or twice, but we thought he was very, 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 very far away, which then makes sense, because we are now very, very far away from where we were looking this morning. But I must admit, I was not expecting to find 3 lions here. I was hoping for that young female with the cubs, and I was surprised because we thought we were following tracks of this young male this morning. He's got very big feet, so we thought we were following his tracks, and apparently not. So here he is. And then here's the Ross male. So I'm interested to carry on a little bit later, go up onto the bank and see possibly the rest of the prides there. Because now we found tracks of potentially 3 different prides. 2 of them are very close together, so it might be the same pride doing many loops. Or it might be 3 different prides. I mean, we don't know. It's potential for that. You know, we have in the area 1, 2, 3, 4 different prides that can come onto Ngala at one time. So it's possible. It'd be crazy if it was. But we'll just have to wait and see. For now, we'll probably spend a few more minutes here. Watch these 2 sleep. I think now that the young male's got a company. Okay, so we got a question from Kimberly. Now, Kimberly's wanting to know if this is a coalition in the making. Kimberly, no. No, this is not. So the male on the right-hand side. So the one on the right, the big Ross male, he's quite old now. He's 7, 8 years old. And he's in a coalition with his brother. So it's him and his brother that have their coalition, same age. And this one on the left here, the young male, he's just under 4 years old, 3 years, 10 months-ish. He's got different fathers, different everything. So the chances of a coalition forming between these 2 is incredibly unlikely. Incredibly unlikely. Like less than a 5% chance that they will form a coalition. These males here, this Ross male and his brother, have actually tried on a number of occasions. I'd say probably close on 8 to 10 occasions to chase this young male away. So remember, we think there's a chance that the other Ross male is the one that injured this young male. So they won't form a coalition. It's not unheard of for a young male to join up with older males. It's not unheard of. But it's very, very rare, very, very unlikely. So especially in a situation like this where they have tried to chase him away a number of times, he's not really going to be an asset to their coalition at all. And if he does take over this area, this is where he's born. So he's going to be mating with his mother, his aunt, his sister. So I just think naturally, instinctually, the coalition is not going to work. They will sort of chase him away, send him across. He will go into Kruger Park, or they might fight him and kill him. It's very hard to say. Very hard to say. But you can see they're both sleeping here. So what we're going to do is probably spend another 2 minutes, see if they get up. If not, then we're going to go. Oh, he's up. Something caught his attention quite quickly. Possibly heard something. Maybe the young female. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can see the young female. Just her by herself. Very, very far back behind us. You won't be able to see right now. It looks like she's going on patrol. So remember I told you she moved the cubs. She put them somewhere and now she is heading out on a patrol. So that should be quite interesting to see if this young male sees and tries to join up with her, or if he's content just staying with this Ross male. Because he might also know that the female will come back. I don't know if he's seen her yet. You can see that Ross male has definitely seen her. He's got his head up, he's looking, he's watching. Question is he going to do anything? He's a male, it's still quite hot. He's lazy, he may as well just flop over and lie down. A lot of activity happening, and it's all mainly because of this female. You know, she's now active during different times of the day because of her cubs. Then she disappeared. This young male started calling to try to find her, and he couldn't. All he found was this Ross male. A comment from Lendoko at FC saying she just saw the Ross male wink. So maybe he got eye contact with that young female. Just gave her a wink, said, "Hope you're keeping my cubs alive." Oh, you see, look, he's up now. He's up. Oh, okay, now it's all happening. So now he might follow that young female and walk right past me once again. They just love to do this. So I'm not going to move. I might block your view. I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep still as he walks past here. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Big guy. Very, very big. You see his shoulders the size of his head, his neck. Massive guy. I don't know if you saw, but I'd say he probably comes up to like my chest sort of height. So it looks like he's going to follow that female. What we're going to do, we're going to stick here with this young male for a few more minutes. I want to see if he gets up and joins them. So they're all still walking. If he doesn't, we will leave and we will join up with the other two. See what's going to happen over there. Ross male's walking very slowly. It's like you can see he wants to join. He's very intent there. He is watching. But the question is, does he have the energy? Is his desire that strong? Okay, so we're going to sit here another couple of minutes, see if he gets up. If not, we'll turn around, we'll follow this Ross male and the female, and we'll keep you updated. But for now, we'll send you across to Djuma with Lauren.
Yeah. Radio down, any changes?
Apparently, I am live. I have lost comms. We have a very, very sad situation, everyone. I don't know what is wrong with this little dwarf mongoose. I thought it was maybe a baby, but it's not. I don't think it's a baby. It appears to be blind. This is sad. I stopped because I just thought it was a normal dwarf mongoose. But it's not. Okay, now we've got no view of it. Okay, we're gonna go back. I what's wrong with it. And it's not a baby. I think it's an adult in bad condition. Okay, I've got a car behind me, so I am going to have to let them pass. And then we'll reverse back and give you another view. Ah, yes, that would be a great idea. If we could just show you a replay of the Mongoose. I believe they have it on 3Play. We're just going to reverse a bit, if that's okay. Londeka will let me know when it's playing, and you can actually see this individual. It's a little bit sad. I don't want to scare it, but it doesn't appear to be with any other individuals. Oh, what's happened, Mongoose? It's not a baby, is it? It's not a juvenile. At first I thought it was. But something's very wrong. Viewers, you're all confirming that it's blind. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I mean, we can't confirm that for sure, but I think it's blind. Well, I mean, it's done well to survive to this size. I think it's a young one. I feel very, very sad. I don't see any other mongoose around at all. Elizabeth, you're seeing possibly a spitting cobra. Interesting. It's walking very bizarrely as well, I'm afraid. Sorry, I didn't realise this was such a sad moment. I just stopped. I thought it was a baby, and then I slowly realised that something was wrong. It's not walking well. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do, everyone. Dwarf mongoose are very, very social animals, and they need the rest of the business. They need the rest of the family group. Let's go forward a little bit, Davi. Just don't want to scare it if it can't see. Sorry, little one, what has happened to you? Can you get it from here, Davi? Oh, no, I've just put a blade of grass in its face. Let me go back a bit. There we go. Oh. I'm not sure this little one has a high chance of survival, everyone, I'm afraid. Especially without the rest of its, without other mongoose around it to warn the individual of predators or danger. Mary, you're saying at least it has its hearing. Well, I hope so. I really hope so. I would guess it's going to try and survive on its nose and its ears for some time. That's all it's got, I'm afraid. It may still be able to catch small little insects like ants that run in front of it. I think it's definitely a youngster. When I first saw it, I thought it was a very, very small juvenile. But I still think it's definitely a youngster. Something's happened. It doesn't look very well. I think we may have to leave this little mongoose. It's very sad. Nature can be sad sometimes. It looks like it's still trying to figure out the landscape. The eyes are completely sealed shut. Okay, we're gonna let this little mongoose be, I'm afraid. It's terribly sad. But nature is nature. So as we leave this little individual, we are going to send you back across to Tristan, who's bumbling about.
I'm bumbling about. After we let our puff adder go, we came onto Chitwa, and now we're just trying to see if anybody's milling around on Chitwa. It'd be nice to catch up with something on this side of the world. I mean, yesterday spoilt us with that Ellie, so I feel like afternoon on Chitwa is not the worst thing to do around this time yesterday when we had our Ellie, so it's perfect. But Joy, I must apologize, I didn't hear your question very well, but I'm thinking back, got it. You were asking about sexing of puff adders. So with puff adders, it's tail length is how you sex them. I mean, I'm no expert with snakes. Like I say to you, I'm not somebody who handles snakes a lot. I just don't think it's fair. We wouldn't go out into the bush and pick up an elephant or a leopard. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be able to pick up an elephant, but you don't go and pick up cats and things like that. And so I don't really think we should be messing around with snakes either. I think snakes should be left to do their own thing. And so I'm not 100% sure exactly how you would tell, but apparently the tail is longer on males than it is the females. The puff adder has quite a fat, rotund body and then tapers off very quickly into a tail. And so the longer that thinner part of the tail is, it's how you'd be able to sex them. In some snakes, dimorphism is almost impossible. It's really difficult to be able to tell the difference between them. But I'm glad that we managed to give our puff adder a chance just to go off on its own and do its own thing. Certainly it will be far better off than being in a camp, that's for sure. Now I've got to get its friend who went under the little shed that we have in camp, and we'll have to be able to get that out at some point as well. I suspect that maybe what's happened is, like I say, it's a female that's let off some pheromones and it's attracting males to them. They also are looking for areas to estivate, and the underside of a Wendy house is a perfect place to go and do that. And for those of you that don't know what a Wendy house is, it's essentially a wooden structure that we get in South Africa that people can use for all kinds of different reasons. We used to use it as a room for some of the guys back in the day when we had a very full camp. And now it's just a storeroom more than anything else. You see the tracks for lions here. This must be from the Tortured Pride from this morning. Unfortunately, they did not stay on Chitwa. Aiden, who's 8 years old, you're asking about snakes and ears. So no, they don't have ears. But that's why their tongue is so important for them, and generally their body their body picks up vibration, much like if you put your hand on the ground and somebody stomps, you're going to feel that there's a movement, and so they pick that up from that. But their tongue is really what does all the work. Their tongue is very, very sensitive, and so if the snake was putting its tongue out all the time, and so what that is doing is it's tasting the air, so it's working out where it is, what's around it, and then if I move, its eyes are detecting movement, but it's doing most of the sensory work. In some snakes, like vipers and adders, they have what's called heat pits, and they can pick up heat in front of them, which is pretty cool. So if they're hunting things like mice and stuff like that, they're able to detect heat, and that use them how they are able to actually catch them, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, puff adders have such a bad reputation because of the fact that they're such sluggish snakes. In general, they don't move very, very much, and if they've gotten into a place where they feel like they're camouflaged and they can lie down, then they quickly will stay there, and you can walk right past them or even stand on them, and that's where a lot of the envenomations take place. That's another thing, is just for everybody, is that snakes are not poisonous. Let's just remember that. Snakes are venomous, which means they envenomate you. They don't inject poison into you. Poison needs to be ingested, so you have to swallow poison. Venom is injected. Anyway, so they inject this very, very cytotoxic venom, which is excruciatingly painful. It breaks down your muscle tissue, essentially, and it is really, really not pleasant at all. Funny enough, the owner of Chitwa, Charles, he was envenomated by a puff adder, and he said to me when it happened that it was the most excruciating thing ever. He got it on the leg, and he had to go to the hospital, and they put his leg in traction, so basically hung his leg up, and then he said even if a sheet would touch his leg, it was stabbing him. So he said it was really not very pleasant. He was lucky that he didn't have any amputation or such loss of flesh. People that have puff adder envenomations end up with a situation where they lose flesh, and they unfortunately get very bad. Lucky in that regard. So it's not a snake you want to play around with, but at the same time, of all the snakes in terms of being able to move them and get them out of camps and rooms and things like that, they're the easiest. They generally are really quite docile snakes. You've got to do a lot to irritate a puff adder. Pretty much stand on it. Otherwise, they're fairly calm. You could see when we released that one, at first it was a little bit in a sort of shell and was kind of hunched up, and it was in a strike position, but as soon as we just sat for a little bit, it started to relax and started to walk off. And even with me walking around, it was still doing its normal thing. It wasn't stressing too much. It wasn't kind of worrying about us. And I mean, when I caught it today, you can pick it up with a stick and then slowly slide it into a cooler box or a box like that, and they generally don't bite you, they don't strike at you. They're normally quite fine unless you really harass them. So not a bad snakes to have to worry about. Oh, such beautiful light here. This is where you want a leopard just walking down Chitwa airstrip, but no luck so far. I'm going to keep having a little look. In the meantime though, let's send you back up to andBeyond Ngala and see how Sean's faring and what he's up to.
Okay, so we left the young male. He just carried on lying down in the river doing nothing. And the Ross male went straight back to where this female came from. And he sort of went and investigated her sort of den area. And didn't do anything. He just investigated, smelled around, and then he came back down into the river. And he lay down there. So what we're trying to do is find the female, see where she went. She carried on walking. Now normally she travels down these power lines, travels across here, down that way, does like a big loop on her patrol all the way around. So I'm trying to have a look to see if she crossed over this road already, or if she took the other route around. Now I can't see any tracks here. It's a nice sandy area. So we should be able to pick up tracks. We know they are quite fresh because we were there when she left. So we should be able to see them. And I don't see, there's an old one, but there's no fresh ones, which could tell us that she has taken just a different route. She went that way around. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn around, drive the other road, and see if we can find her on that side. It's quite exciting because now we know she's moving, she's walking. She could either be patrolling or she could be hunting. Both would be very, very cool to watch, to see how, they do patrol, because it would be quite different to a male patrolling. Male patrolling his territory, he will probably scent mark, he will maybe even roar if it's at night, something like that. Where the female, she's just walking around to see what other animals have come into her area that could be a threat, to her cubs. She might need to move them, something like that. Maybe even looking for the rest of the pride a little bit. But mainly to hunt, these last 3 weeks, a month, probably more of a month, 5 weeks, she's been by herself. She's had the den, she's been with her cubs, so it means she's had to hunt by herself. And she's done a very good job. She's not looking skinny at all, she's looking actually very healthy. So she's been doing a very successful job at hunting. I mean, we saw her a couple of weeks ago on Eric's game drive. I think he showed you the wildebeest carcass that she had. So she's managed to catch wildebeest, probably a few impalas as well. So, she's doing very well. So it'll be interesting to follow her and see exactly how she goes about her patrols, how she walks. I've never seen her do it. I've seen her tracks on the roads that she's been on. And also be nice to see some activity, a nice active lion walking around this time of the day. Not too common. Not too common. So that's where we came from. That would take us straight back down towards the river. And we know she's not there. So this is the road that runs parallel to the river. And then she'll do a loop around that way. And now we got to slow down. She normally walks on the road. It's always a good idea for these animals to walk on the road. There's obviously less bushes, there's less thorns, less grass, less sticks, and it's a place that a lot of animals will come and scent mark. Be it lion, leopard, hyena, cheetah, wild dog, whatever it is. They'll do it all along these sorts of roads because they know it's a good pathway for animals. There's a very high chance that their competition or something like that will also walk down here, also scent mark down here. Okay, so we got a question from a viewer with a fantastic name. Sean wants to know why the coalition is called the Ross males. So Sean, the male come from a reserve of our boundaries of the side. The same fried the Ross. So the rangers are reserved as the males from pride, so they're the Ross males. And for just ease sake, we call them the same thing. Because we talk a lot with the reserves surrounding us. We tell them, okay, we had the Ross males, they crossed out onto your side. So then they know to go have a look to see if they can find them. And they do the same thing for us. They say to us, okay, the Ross males have now crossed back onto andBeyond and Ngala. So then we're like, awesome, we can go look for them. So apparently there's a bit of technical difficulties. You might not have heard everything. So I'll give you a summary. The two Ross males, they come from a reserve of the west, a pride called the Ross Pride, and the rangers at that reserve know them as the Ross males. So we kept that name just for ease sake. So like this Birmingham male, let's say he survives, he goes into the reserve next door. They will, phone us and be like, how's it? We got a male that just came in here. Young male by himself. If he has a picture, do you know him? And then we'll say, oh yeah, he's the Birmingham young male, that's what we call him. And then, they will generally call him the same thing. So they will then call him the Birmingham male. And it's just easier. Because if we name him one thing, they name him another thing. And they say to us, oh guys, the Tamboti tree male's coming back. And we're like, oh, who's that? We don't know who he is. And then he comes back in and we're like, oh, the Birmingham male. So it's just easier, Sean, to keep the same name. So they called him the Ross males, they came here, we call them the Ross males. It's just much easier for everyone. Now, I haven't seen any tracks yet. But we're going to keep going slowly down here, because she could come out anywhere. And while we do that, let's send you across to Lauren, see what she's up to.
I'm sad. That's what I'm doing. That was not a very nice sighting, I'm afraid. Ravi actually got out of the vehicle to give me a hug. That was very, very sad.
Kristen? You know, somebody's doing a ban on torture.
Sorry. I'm just going to turn this down. Yes. Anyway, let us move forward. It's golden hour now, our favourite hour, for our leopards that we can't seem to find. I've had a pretty good run at finding leopards, and Tristan is incredible at finding leopards, and we are both stumped and frustrated. But anyway, I am heading to Ribbon's Den now, the cousin of the dwarfy, and hopefully that'll bring lots of happiness if the cubs are out. And last night, if any of you didn't catch the drive, oh, spiderweb. Ugh. Sorry, I got a fright. If you didn't catch the drive, Ribbon actually allowed the nursing to be witnessed by us, and that's the first time, and I think we'll see that all the time now. She wasn't plugging the entrance to the den with her bottom, she wasn't hiding it, it was very much out in the open. The cubbies are getting bigger now, they're very mobile, and I think Ribbon, they've reached the age where she will now nurse and allow them to suckle outside of that den entrance, which is wonderful news. And from what I can see, the cubs are very, very habituated already. When we left that sighting and I turned the car engine on, I always watch their behaviour. How do they react when you turn that engine on? And they perked up their little heads, but they didn't leave. They didn't get a fright. They didn't run away. And that's good news. It's really good news for us and for them. Oh, can you smell that? I can smell a very, very strong musk bull. Can you see it, Davy? Okay, hold on. Very strong. I wonder if it's my bull. Our bull, should I say. Davy thinks he sees him. I can smell him. There's absolutely no mistake in this smell. It's one of my favourite smells out here. I've gone too far. He's gone too far. Do you like the smell? Davy says no. Not many people do. I love it. It's musk. It's strong musk. The scent is definitely coming off a big, big bull. Do you think it'll be possible to get him, Davy, or he's gone too deep? Davy says. I wish I could send through smells. I hope technology develops so far, since we're already this advanced in a digital age, that technology can develop some sort of system that I can send the smell to you all. So then you will really have the holistic experience. You'll be able to see it on your screen. You can hear the noises. You can't touch, but then neither can we. You can't taste, and do you want to? But then we can send you the smells, little pats. I am not going to be able to stop thinking of this mongoose. Gemma, you are 8 years old and you are asking, do elephants have fingerprints? And I think what you mean by that is unique markings for each individual. I'm guessing just like we have. And I believe they do. I'm not sure how many elephants have actually been studied in that regard, but I believe the underside of an elephant's foot is unique to each individual, which would therefore be a footprint, I think is the better word, Gemma. Because they have such wrinkly soles on the underside of their foot, so all the wrinkles make different patterns. And I'm pretty sure, I will check, but I'm pretty sure it's unique to each and every individual. They also have very specialized cells on the soles of their feet, which help them detect and understand vibrations on the ground. So elephants will know a lot more about what is going on in the environment around them than we will. And I was reading a story the other day that koala bear, their footprints are so similar to humans. There's such a strong similarity that at crime scenes, koala footprints have been mistaken as humans. I don't entirely know if that's true. I do need to check it out, but isn't that fascinating? Okay, I do see tracks, but I think they're Tunganas from the other day, so I'm just going to quickly make sure. And as we do that, we're going to send you across to Tristan and see what he's up to.
I wish you all the best of luck, Lauren. Hopefully you find that sausage cat and that he is obliging for you. We have had zero luck on Chitwa. There's not a single track that I have seen anywhere. We have looked everywhere. The only tracks we found was for the entire Torchwood Pride, which seemed to have had an absolute party on Chitwa last night. They walked all over the place. And then eventually, obviously, north into Torchwood itself, close to the Muluwanini. So, not ideal. I was hoping that maybe late this afternoon that they might turn and come back towards the dam. But I think that's asking a lot. Generally, lions very seldom turn and change direction from the morning's walk unless there is a reason to. So unless there is something like buffalo, or the wind picks up for a certain direction, or there's some sort of reason, then they will change. But otherwise, they typically like... Why is that Franklin alarm calling? So Franklin, that's obviously just gotten a major fright. It's gone quiet now. In this area, there's so many fish eagles around Chitwa Dam that it causes them to go sometimes. There's some dwarf mongoose in front, bouncing around. Actually, funny enough, when we were catching the snake today, it was like everything was happening at once in camp. So we were catching the snake, and then we were sitting there, and these dwarf mongoose came running out from close to the kitchen area, and the one was carrying a baby that must have been about this size. It was absolutely tiny, and it had it in its mouth, and it was running along with its little baby. It was super cute. So nice to know that our little dwarf mongoose have had little ones, and I suspect that we've saved them from potentially a traumatic experience having puff adders around. It's not ideal. So there's the Franklin that I was talking about that's on its mound. Often when they get spooked, they'll go land on a higher perch, or this time of the day you often find them just sitting up on a perch like this to advertise their territory and to make sure that everybody knows that they are in charge of what's going on. So Natal Spurfowl, Franklin is the old name, Natal Franklin, it's now Spurfowl. I don't know if you can see the spurs on the back of its legs. Unfortunately, it looks like quite a lot of grass in the way. The other one's in the tree to the right, BK. That's very cool. And just sit here and listen to them for a little bit. It's such a nice call. Franklins are not from the point of view that it's a pretty call, but it just reminds you of the bush. If you're a South African and you spend any time in the wilderness, you'll know Franklins call a lot in the morning and the afternoon. Now, generally, they don't sit in trees like this. Very, very seldom. Something has to disturb them, but I suspect the dwarf mongoose that I saw running across the road might have been the ones that gave them a bit of a fright. one on the mound is certainly more vocal. As I was saying, they sometimes use these just to mark territory and tell everybody, this is where I live, this is my area. So I suspect that's what's taking place right now. Going to call for us again. That's very cool. It's nice to actually see it calling, because a lot of the time with Franklins particularly is there's a slender mongoose on the road and a dwarf mongoose. There was both. So there's the slender that's running. No, don't run away, slender. Stay on the road. To the right, upright. There it goes. So there's the slender. The dwarf were just in front of it, and the dwarf got a fright when they saw this. There goes the dwarf across the road. So both are in the same area. Let's see if the slender will come back on. It's not every day that you see both dwarf and slender mongoose in the same place. They generally are far apart, but that was cool. And our Franklin has now decided it's time to have a little dust bathe. Oh, a little bit of courting going on. I suppose it is sunset. Romantic at Chitwa open area. Now we're going to just make ourselves look good. A little dust bath. This is like a kind of shower and makeup session before going out for a fancy dinner. I think a Franklin would look pretty cool in a little tuxedo, don't you think so? A little bow tie. But of course this is vitally important that they do this dusting. It just helps keep their feathers in good condition, helps with control of mites and things like that that might be on the feathers themselves. So you'll find that birds do this quite regularly, particularly ground birds. So guinea fowls, Franklins, they like to do it a lot. Isn't that cool? It's a pity that we've lost the light a little bit. It would have been so nice if we had still got a bit of that beautiful golden light. So the dust would have really been highlighted. It's got lots of attitude, this Franklin. Certainly got a swagger to it, doesn't it? Silly birds. Now, is the other one going to come along as well? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. There you can see those spurs on the back of the legs. You see how long they are. Now, I've seen these guys fight before. It's unbelievable to watch. They actually try and spear each other with those back parts of their legs. They fly up and then they push their leg forward, and then they kind of try and, it's almost like somebody swinging an axe or a pick, and they you see feathers flying. It's crazy to watch when these guys actually go and fight. And so that's what those spurs are for, is part of the territorial battles that they have with others. You guys are putting on quite a show this afternoon. Might not be a leopard, but it's certainly one of my better Franklin sightings I've had in a long time. David, you say all I need is a partridge in a pear tree. Quite. Although wrong time of the year, David. We've got a long way to go before we'll actually really need a partridge in a pear tree. It seems like that will never come at this rate, though, with the craziness that is going on in the world. Hopefully, by the time we do partridges and pear trees, that to some semblance of normal. I don't think we'll ever get to normal, but hopefully things will be a little bit more or less crazy than what they are right now. That's for sure. As I said, you see, they were getting ready for dinner. Now they're having a little snack, a little hors d'oeuvre, before they break out the wine and watch the sunset at some point and have a romantic evening. Franklins, I feel like I'm invading, so I'm going to leave you be. BK, let's leave our Franklins. I feel like we're messing up his game and messing up his evening. Okie dokie, I'm going to, I don't know where I'm actually going to go, but we're going to try and find something. And so while we do that, let's send you across to Lauren. I hope that she's had some semblance of luck with Tingana.
Oh, no, that was Tingana's tracks from 2 days ago. They were the old ones, not new ones, I'm afraid. Don't worry, Tristan, I am not on Tingana's tracks. I have no idea where Tingana's tracks are. Where Tingana is, sorry. No idea. And he is not in my good books, shall we say. But then I always see him and he manages to, slide his way back into the good books. Always. Those eyes. Okay, I'm almost at the hyena den. And I'm really hoping they'll be there. I always get this feeling when I turn this corner, and it's so disappointing if the hyenas are not there. Okay, always like to go nice and slowly here. Now, if the hyenas are not here, we're not allowed to stay, so it'll be a quick U-turn and back out again. Oh no, everybody. No! My heart's gonna break after that mongoose and now no ribbon. Oh, okay. Well, we have somebody sleeping. Is that you, Robrobs? I think this could be Ribbon having a extra special snooze on the floor, hiding her face from the camera. I think that's you, Rip Ropes. Where's your little munchkins? Look at that position. Legs crossed at the back, legs crossed at the front. So as long as there is any adult hyena here, we can stay. That's the sort of rule. If there's no adult hyenas, then we cannot stay at a den site. But because this little individual's here, we can stay for a little while. I think it's Ribbon. It's a sleepy hyena, that's for sure. Diego, you're 6 years old and you're asking about hyena intelligence. And yes, they're very, very intelligent. They're also very misunderstood. And they're said to be on par with primates. So they did a study and the hyenas actually outperformed the primates. So they didn't just solve all the problems. There was lots of tests. They didn't just solve the problems quicker. They actually did it completely silently. Whereas the primates did solve the problems, but they were slower and they communicated with one another the whole way through. So hyenas are said to be very, very intelligent. And even if they hadn't done that test, you can see from their social interactions, their understanding of the hierarchy, the way they interact with one another on a daily basis, and the fact that they can understand, or identify, should I say, every single individual in the clan by their call. And they have 14 different calls. So that's 14 times however many individuals you have in the clan. And for the Djuma clan, it's quite small. But if you think of the North clan up in the Masai Mara, that's 90 individuals strong. That's 90 times 14. And I don't quite know what that is, but it's just slightly under 100. No. Davi also doesn't know what it is, but it's a lot. It's a lot of vocalizations to be able to learn and identify who they are coming from. It's incredible. I wonder if she's just had enough of our munchkins for now. So she's still here, she's still protecting the den, but she's not at that sort of entrance area. And therefore the cubs will not come out. Or they shouldn't come out. If they do, they'll be in big trouble. We went through a period of not seeing hyenas, and Davi's just giving you the perfect view of why we didn't see them, because there was no den site. So you see how, I'm pretty sure this is ribbon, it's just lying here on a bed of grass. That's normally exactly what they do, just in the middle of blocks, not at one particular site, and that's why we never see them. So I'm going to wait here a little bit longer, just in case we get lucky. And as I sit with my patience pants on, we're going to send you back across to Tristan.
You do get lucky, Lauren. I know you wanted to see Ribbon and the little ones before you left. That's why every day Lauren's like, can I go to the Hyena Den? No problem, you're more than welcome to go. It's to try and give you a chance to see them before she left. I feel bad that Tundi didn't at least stay for her to be able to see Tundi before she left, but well, that's the way it goes sometimes. You've got to just kind of take the good with the bad, and Lauren certainly has had a very productive last few months, that's for sure. She's seen a lot of the leopards and obviously spent a bit of time with the cubs, so I do hope the cubs come out with a nice finish. Same as for James the other day when he got Tundi's cubs. It's just nice when, you know, people that have put in a lot of work and really have a passion for something get rewarded for the work that they put in. So I'm glad that he got that, and like I say, I hope that Lauren gets her cubs. We're at Chitwa Dam, just thought we'd come and sit here for a little bit and just listen and enjoy this time of the day in this area. It's such a pretty part of the world, and so it's nice just to kind of sit here and take it easy and listen to the hippos snorting and the buffalo weavers frantically building their nest and various other things that are going on. It's that time of this day where hippos start to get a little bit playful, and so they often roll when they are in this kind of a mood, and they'll kind of flip and turn, and it's cool to see when they do that. So I love watching them rolling around. It's always interesting to see these little stubby legs poking out of the water, and the fact that it seems to be a whole bunch of fun for these guys. It's always cool to see. I can't believe how full Chitwa Dam still is. It's amazing. So Earth Angel, you're saying you think you're a hippo in another life? From what perspective? From just the fact that they get to sit in water all day, or do you like water? Do you, is it that they frolic in water and seem to have a good time frolicking? There's all these questions that I now have about hippos being something that you were at one point. Oh, hello, Hammerkorp. The Hammerkorp that just flew past as well. But they're getting ready for that time of the day where they start to come out. So sometimes if you sit quietly for a little bit, they actually start coming right to the edge. They generally don't come out if you park too close to the water's edge, particularly if there's a lot of movement and people on the vehicle moving. But if you sit still, sometimes they'll come quite close. So the hippos are just finishing their little chorus, but you're saying that the reason you relate to hippos is because people that interrupt your bath, the love of water, and the fact that you like vegetables is what bonds you to hippos, which is a very fair statement. A hippo does not like something that disrupts its bath time, that's for sure. And they certainly do love vegetables as well as water, as we know. So that is a fair enough statement then. So nice when they make that sound though. It's such an African sound. All we needed then was, as they finished, for the fish eel to pipe up, and it would have been the perfect kind of African water experience. If there's one thing that will remind you of Africa if you go somewhere where there's a lot of water, is those two calls. Both are synonymous with being out here. So Londeka, who's directing in final control, says she thinks hippos are lazy. It's because hippos are busy at night. They might look lazy during the day, but at night they are fairly active creatures. They're moving around getting the food that they need. So it's like us at night. We're pretty lazy. We're kind of sleeping and doing our own thing, whereas, you know, these guys are just sleeping during the day. So they look a little bit lazy, but they're actually not. Right, everyone's going to yawn. That was cool. Well done, BK. That was awesome. Nice to sit and spend time with these guys at this time of the day. It's like I say, they start to get a little bit more active and generally start to be quite playful and move about a little bit, which is really, really good. Like I was saying just now, it's so nice to see Chitwa Dam so full, especially for these hippos. In the end of last year, so before we had these really heavy rains in January, February, March, to give you an idea of where the water was, I'm sure some of our viewers will be able to post some of the shots we have of Chitwa from those periods. But where you're seeing hippos now was absolutely dry. There was no water there at all. If you see this tree that's kind of bent over here, this one, that tree was also not in water. The water actually was probably, I would say, about 6-7 meters further into the middle part of the dam before you actually got to the edge of the water. So you can see how much more it's filled up. This area to our left, where there's this island, that island was completely, there was no water between us and that island at all. You could drive to that island if you wanted to. So it just goes to show you how much rain we did receive during this late rain period, and it's why it's still so lush this time of the year, is because it's got really nice rain. And Chitwa always fills really well. It's got a really nice drainage that comes in. It's called the Mulawanini drainage line or riverbed, and that one floods really nicely in good rains, and it pushes then all the way down. And it's actually quite cool to go into the Mulawanini after a flooding period, particularly because what happens is a lot of the catfish from this dam that are stuck in this dam during the course of the year, at floods, it causes them to almost go on a miniature little run, which is when they'll actually go and spawn. And so they swim up the Mulawanini, and if you go to the crossing on the main road on Gari Main, you can park there and you can actually see the catfish trying to get over the road and swim over, and sometimes you'll get predators and things that will come down. It's pretty cool to watch. Right, I can hear some guinea fowl alarm calling. I'm going to go quickly investigate those guys, and while I do that, let's send you across to Sean. I'm not sure if he's still with his lions, but I'm sure he'll update you guys.
Welcome back. So we did our search for this lioness, and she gave us the slip. Not sure where exactly she went. I think she came out here somewhere, but I haven't seen any fresh tracks. We haven't seen her. So what we are doing is heading back down towards the two males, and our temperature's dropped substantially. It's actually very, very cold now, especially now as we're heading down into the river. So I'm hoping we get there, Ross male, that young maybe doing something in the feedback. I have rised the number of today. Another last tracks we have female were here. This is where she came up out of the river. She headed up here, and then I think she could have gone that way or that way. We looked both sides. We went that way, we went that way. Didn't have anything. Of course, we went on the roads, where she would have gone, oh, however she chooses really. Sometimes the road, like I said, sometimes not. But let's have a look here. So let me give you an idea of sort of how far so we just drop so on the right there, so that where when the cubs last cups with everything she's been now see she's moved there to at the day. Still, because that was me that was there off.
Sorry about that. I think Tristan went into some bad signal area. Now it's definitely over Rob's. She stood up. She stretched. She yawned. It's been very exciting at this end. She's back down again. I wonder if Milk Bar is closed. I don't know. I don't actually know what to do. I'm desperate to see the cubbies, but the sun is setting. And I also just want to check so many areas. But I had such a nice time with the cubs last night. It really was an incredible sighting. So I think I may bumble on to see if we catch any predators in the golden hour. Okay, Rip Robs. You look after them. She is snoozing hard. Auntie Lauren is off. We may have just missed that window for today, I'm afraid. But that's okay. Oh, you'll need to force the other guys to come to the den, everybody, to make sure they will check on these little cubbies. Ooh. Well, that didn't go very well, did it? We'll try that again. Oh, there's another hyena on the scene. Got it, Davy? Sassy Cassie, I have never touched a hyena. I would love to, but I haven't. And it looks soft, but I believe from some of you, you all sent me some articles and information. I believe it's very, very coarse. Very coarse, dry here. But it does look soft. The other one's just here, Davy. I'm just going to go forward to get a view. Let's try and see who it is. Hello. Cautious, not quite going close. Grumpy matriarch is there. Was that a scar on the back left hip? Did you see that? Let's see if we can catch an interaction. Hyena interactions are what we want. No, I don't think it's coming near ribbon. I wonder if we can get a view from here, Darby. What do you think? The individual's going to sleep far away. Some of these hyenas are very, very cautious around ribbon, which really shows you how much power she actually has. She's fierce. Oh. Okay, let's just see where she's gonna go. I was, of course, about to leave. Oh, another stretch. No, Ribbon, where are you going? I think the milk bar is well and truly closed, and she is off to cause trouble for the evening. Submission. Can you see that individual acting completely submissive? Okay, this is interesting. I am going to sit here and watch this interaction, but you guys are going to head all the way over to Sean with his lions.
Okay, so we have found the male again, just the young male. The Ross male is gone. I didn't see exactly where his tracks disappeared to. I think he's gone back up the bank here on the left hand side. But I'm going to keep quiet because you can hear this one. He's calling again because now back where he found himself by himself. There's a lot of myself there. But the Ross male's gone, the female's gone. See when he's gonna contact call, when he's gonna roar, like his whole body shifts forward, like he clenches his chest, his stomach, and it makes his head pop out a bit. And that's how we know he's gonna call. So if you watch carefully, he's gonna do it again, hopefully facing away from us or side on, and then watch his whole sort of stomach clench. You can watch the movement sort of go up his body, stomach, chest, and his head comes out, and he calls. It's a lot of effort to call for these lions. Uses a lot of energy. Okay, so watch. A bit more patience. He's going to call soon. So you can see he's actually listening. He's listening to all the noises around him. So he's listening to those birds that you can hear, because maybe something walked past those birds, disturbed them. So he's been listening a lot, so he's going to call soon. Because you must also remember, now that it's getting darker, it's getting colder, the chances of a response from maybe the rest of the pride, maybe one of those Ross males, the one that we saw, are much higher now. This is the lion's active time. We're getting into it at least. So the chances of a response are much, much higher. So he's going to call and he's going to wait. He's going to listen and listen and listen and listen. So do you see that? Not very loud, but still the amount of effort. That last one, he sort of moved forward, and it was still like a second later that the noise actually came. So even such a soft call requires requires so much effort. I imagine when they're actually roaring. When he does actually roar for territory, it's a lot of effort. But what we're going to do, we're going to sit here. You can see he's kind of lying down again. We're going to sit here, spend a couple minutes, see if we can hear anything else, see what he does. In the meantime, we're going to send you back to Lauren with Ruben.
I have left the den. Ruben just walked away. And the other individual, I'm not sure if it was Sack or not, followed. And they left the den. So I think we maybe got there a bit too late. I think now that the cubs are the age that they are, Ruben just comes when she has to. I don't think there's a sort of routine. You know, at sunset, she'll nurse or they will suckle. I think that depending on what Ruben's activities have been, if she's out in a feeding frenzy, trying to scavenge or hunting, it just depends. Whenever she comes home, she'll call out the cubs, and if they're hungry, then all systems go. So I think it's also a little bit of luck of the draw as to when we get there, as to what we see. And last night we just got incredibly lucky. And now it's very chilly, so I have to make a decision. George. I just said your name and then nothing else. George, I'm just thinking where to go. Davy, you don't see any leopard just casually strolling along the road, do you? No. It's always worth a check. George, that's a really good question. So normally, around 2 years, the males can start to get ready to disperse. So start to get ready to become reproductively active, they'll be mature, and they'll get ready to disperse. Depending on the circumstances, it really does depend on if it's male or female and what rank they are. But 97% of male hyenas that have been studied, at least, choose to disperse. 3% choose to stay at home, which means they'll never really leave. They'll always be attached to mama's boys. And females, they will always be in the clan, and they're considered to be sexually mature at 3 years old. So therefore, because hyenas have such a long lactation period, it's a big investment, can go right up to 2 years. Normally it's around the 18-month mark. I'd say a 2-year gap if her 2 cubs are successful. If they both reach adulthood, then I think after another 2 years, Ruben could possibly be ready to mate again. But it really does depend on the circumstances, George. If she loses cubs, then of course she's going to go into estrus again and be ready to mate. But hopefully that's not going to be the case. These cubs will grow up, be successful, and Ruben can have a little break. She can relax for a while, put her feet up, because she doesn't do enough of that. And another 2 and a bit year gap. And Ruben's 7, so she's a very, very good age, and she has suffered loss, as many of you know, and therefore she's quite experienced now. And I really, really hope and wish that these cubs make it. And if we do get any gender IDs while I'm not here, you must let me know. Must let me know. But I think it's a little while. A few of you have been sending genitals to me, which sounds very bizarre. And one definitely does look like a boy, but I think at this stage it's just a little bit too early. I think we need to hold off until they're a little bit older and we can really, really get a good look in order to confirm. Now, Ruben was thought to be a male for a very long time. Her genitals were well and truly studied, and still she was thought to be a male until she gave birth. Yeah, we got that one wrong, didn't we? Okay, I'm really looking for a leopard now. I'm going to summon all the leopard energy towards me and see what I can do. As I do that, we are going to send you back across to Sean, who does actually have a cat.
Okay, so we've now, you can see, got a little bit more light. Got our infrared on. So he's been doing this on and off. He lies down, he lifts up, he calls, lies down, lifts up, calls. So you can see now it actually sounds like he's calling while lying down. We haven't heard any replies. Not even from that Ross male. So look, all likelihood, he might just wait here, like for the whole night. You know, he knows there are lions in the area. He's seen his sister, he's seen that male. So he might just wait here, hoping that they will come back, you know. He probably does know that she'll come back because her cubs are here. And also, he might then get a meal. If she catches another wildebeest, she comes back, you know, she eats a bit, comes back, suckles the cub, he'll be able to see that she's eaten, possibly follow her back. Okay, so FC has told me that there's quite a few concerns that, you know, with this male contact calling and the unwanted attention it could possibly bring to him. Now, for sure, that is definitely a risk. It is without a doubt a risk. But, you know, you got to get to a stage where do the pros outweigh the cons? You know, for him, he's alone. He's injured and he's alone. He's probably really, really hungry as well. If he can call and his sister comes or his mother comes or his aunt comes or the whole pride comes, whoever comes, it will be a benefit to him. Yes, potentially he calls and the dominant Ross male comes, or two other sort of intruding males come. There's that potential. But where he is now is pretty much the center of the Birmingham Pride's territory. It's quite central into Ngala where we are, maybe slightly west, but pretty center. So, in terms of other invading lions, he should be relatively safe, everyone. Just listen. No. His biggest threat, I think, at the moment would be the dominant Ross male, and then possibly some very brave hyenas. You know, his soft calling like this. You know, so I was just keeping quiet there so we could listen to him roar or call. You know, a lot of it, it's okay, so Emily wants to know how he's doing with his walking and his injury. Emily, it's not looking too good. I saw him, me and Owen saw him walk, maybe 200 meters? About 200 meters we saw him walk, and he's putting a very slight amount of pressure on that injured leg, but I've changed my mind now, and I think it looks either heavily dislocated or broken, because it just sort of flops at a skew angle. It doesn't look like it's improved. The swelling's gone down ever so slightly around the sort of knee joint area. The swelling has gone down a bit, but the leg still hangs at a very funny angle. He's still very, very reluctant to put weight on it, but he can walk. You know, he's not going to outrun anybody. Oh, there he goes, nice and flat. So yeah, he's not going to outrun anybody, but he's not going to chase anything down either. So Emily, it's It's touch and go. It is touch and go, unfortunately. But you can see he's gone now. He's lying down. He's resting. He didn't get any responses. So I think what we're going to do for now is let him sleep. I want to go have a look up the road for the Ross male that we saw earlier. So I think we're going to leave him be here. See what we can find. And everyone just... Okay, everybody just... That's a crossed finger, guys, I promise. There we go. You see, cross your fingers. That he's going to be okay. While we go look for this Ross male, what we're going to do is send you back across to Tristan.
Ross males. I unfortunately am in a state of sheer frustration right now. We were sitting at Chitwa Dam listening, just like I said, it's a good time to do it, and we can hear a leopard sawing, and it's not sawing on Chitwa. We drove to the southern cut line, or the southwestern cut line, and I can hear it sawing south of the cut line, so it's somewhere on nets or vessels that it's calling. It's not that far away, and I think we would have found it quite easily, but obviously we don't traverse there, so that's my face of unhappiness right now. It doesn't sound, it's interesting because the call doesn't sound very impressive, if I can say it that way, and it's not what I really mean actually. It's just that I suspect that it might be a female calling rather than a male. Males have just this much kind of loud... Oh, there's a frog. What are you doing? Where did it go? I think it jumped into the grass. There was a frog going across the road. It's a very odd time of the year to be seeing frogs. It's getting too cold for these guys, and water is drying up. Nope, gone into the grass, I'm afraid. But yes, unfortunately, no luck being able to get anywhere near that leopard, but it's at least a positive sign maybe for the morning. You never know, maybe there's a leopard that's moving up towards Chitwa. Of the leopards that could be down here, if it's a male, I would suspect Mulawati. If it's a female, from where it's coming from would be Sibui. So I'm not sure. It could be either one of those. Maybe even Sibui's previous daughter could be a candidate. There's a hyena. We're going to go into IR, so PK is going to be changing shortly, and it should change in the next little bit. Now, come on, hyena, show yourself. You see it there, BK? It's going from behind the mound now. Let me go forward quickly. I'll use my spotlight just so you can see it. Of course, now there's about 4 million trees in the way, but it should open up here. Where did it go? Oh, there, it's already gone way past us. Of course, now it's going to go out of infrared range. Yeah. Erica, what animal has the best memory? Without a doubt, elephants in this particular part of the world. Ellies, with their big, giant brains in comparison to everybody else, really have an incredible memory. So they would be number one. I would love to know what the memory of something like a crocodile is. I suspect that they're pretty sharp too. They seem to be able to figure out patterns. You watch them down in the Zambezi, on the Zambezi River, outside of game reserves, and as soon as they hear a cowbell, they immediately go to the same place, and they know exactly where the cows will come and drink, which is almost like, I'm not sure if it's memory versus conditioning. I don't know if that makes them have a good memory, or if, it's just that they know that that's a place where they get foods. I suppose that is memory, isn't it? But them, hyenas also very intelligent animals, so will have a very good memory as well. So I'd probably say ellies, then hyenas, and then from there it would be probably quite a toss-up between quite a number of different species. Baboons and monkeys would also be up there with that lot as well. So lots of animals that are quite smart out here, that's for sure, and that have very good memories. Ultimately, animals do need to have a fairly good memory for certain things. To be able to find food and water during the driest parts of the year means that they need to remember where to go for that. I mean, some animals are hugely reliant on sensory, so they'll listen and, smell and be able to pick up potentially fresh grass or water. They'll also hear if there's a thunderstorm somewhere. In the case of like the Mara, you often see the wildebeest following the rainstorms that happen every afternoon. So if, say, they're on one side of the river and it rains on the other side of the river, then they go across the river to go get to where it's rained. So they'll follow that. They'll also use visual cues of lightning. So it really just depends in that situation. But proper memory, elephant, hyena, baboon, monkey, all pretty smart. Alrighty, let's start heading back onto Djuma. Maybe we'll get lucky with these tracks that Lauren had around the Mulawati. With that female leopard, maybe she'll pop out onto the road. And we'll be able to see her, or she'll go towards Tundams. That'll be quite nice. But otherwise, I don't know who else we could possibly see on the southern boundary at the moment. If Tundi's not around, she often hangs out down this side. So if she's not around, then it starts to limit the options. Kuchava is more to the east of where we are than here. So it'll be interesting to see who this female actually is and what other options we've got. Okay, well, I'm going to go and check the Mulawati. It's not far from where I am. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you back up to Ngala, and hopefully the Ross male will be making a very vocal appearance shortly.
So we are now patrolling. Well, there's a southern ground hornbill, but we're not going to shine the light on it. We're now patrolling to see if we can find see if we can find that Ross male. So sorry, the southern ground hornbill took off and broke the branch that almost fell on us. But yes, so we are looking for those lions to see, if we can find them. I haven't heard anything. We left that Birmingham male. He is just sleeping. We left him there in peace. I'm sure that female will be back again later. So he should have some company. Now we see, looking around, the other male calling. Gabby, or 8-year-old Gabby, we do have ostriches here. Yes, very often they have been ostriches. So they are here, fairly often, but I have only seen about 5. So they're not a common animal here at andBeyond Ngala. And they're also daytime animals, so they would be resting now, sleeping somewhere. So it sounds like we had a bit of a technical difficulty. But what I was saying to Gabby is that, yes, we do get the ostrich, but not very commonly. I haven't seen one in at least a year. I haven't seen one. Now at night, we're looking for sort of hyenas, leopards, chameleons, maybe a bush baby if we're really lucky. And then if you are watching this morning, we were talking about that ever elusive aardvark and pangolin and aardwolf. There's also some of the animals that we are looking for on these sort of, we call them night drives, on these sort of night drives. Those are the animals that we're looking for. Maybe an owl as well if we get lucky. Hopefully one that I can identify. But those are what we're looking for. Ooh, no. While we're traveling. So obviously all the animals are different. So FC are just being as easy as they always are. And Emma wants to know where the aardvark is that I said I would find. So I'm pretty sure James was supposed, not James, Tristan was supposed to find a pangolin. I had a bit of a nervous moment earlier when he was taking you to his surprise. I thought he had found a pangolin and I was getting a little bit nervous. But still, puff at it, very cool. Emma, your aardvark is coming. It's coming. Probably find it at about 6 minutes. So you might not see it. But I'll send you a picture. Okay. So we are going to continue our search for any nocturnal animal. And while we do that, we will send you across to Tristan to see if he's found any nocturnal animals.
No, we haven't found strictly nocturnal viewing animals, but we found animals that are active at night in the form of some ellies. They are in the Mulawati, so there's no leopard here, but there's ellies on both sides. As you drop into this ditch, it's actually quite dangerous if you aren't paying attention here, because you come down this hill, and it's very steep coming into this drainage line, and if you're not paying attention and you come down too quickly and one of these guys steps into the road, you're going to have a big problem, because you won't see them until the last second. There's a big steep bank, as you can see by the left side of the frame, that comes down, and that will block any sort of visual of elephants as you come down. So you have to actually come down quite slowly here. They're crossing the road in front of us. Just listen to the feet. Isn't that cool? Being able to hear them rummaging through the grass as they walk. It's so cool to hear it. It's one of the nice things about in the evenings, if there's no wind, is the sound is amazing. CJ, you say you like the sound? It's a very, very cool part of it. I must be honest, the sound that comes off the microphones is really nice. You guys get it much more amplified than what we do even in real life. So it's super cool to be able to have the ability for you guys to hear what we hear, because hearing makes for a huge part of things. Hey! No. So just sometimes put a light on with these guys, and as soon as they see a light, then they know that there's something here. You can't come up this bank next to me. There's no space now. Why do you want to move now? You were fine where you were. I have to have a talking to with the young bulls sometimes, as they sometimes can be a little bit cheeky. We've got another one that's behind us on the bank. Can't you go the other way? Or do you have to come this side? Because how am I supposed to move now? Because your friend has blocked us behind us. This is a cheeky bull. Luckily he's not a very, very big bull, so he's not as intimidating as the bull we saw yesterday, but still big enough to prove a point if he really wanted to. The thuds of his poop, and him peeing. I'm sure you could. It would have been quite loud. That's what he thinks of me telling him off about not being able to come up the bank here. That wasn't very nice of you, mister. He doesn't seem to care too much at this stage. And the problem is we're going to be probably stuck here for a while, because until such time as he decides to move, I'm not going to be allowed to go anywhere. He's too close to me for me to start the car without him being full of nonsense, particularly at a young male who wants to prove how, big and strong he is. It's going to be far too close for me to start a car, so I have to wait for him to move, which could take a while, because young boys can sometimes be belligerent. It's probably the best way to describe it, and can be a bit full of nonsense. This one behind us is super cool. It's like almost on top of us because it's on the bank. Hello. See this head poking up there? You can see the aerial of the car. So it's kind of a different view. It almost makes the elephant look that much larger, doesn't it, when you're looking up at them? Very, very cool. Right, now, the last couple of days I've been busy with doing some things, which is really exciting because it means that now I can tell you about what's happening. As of tomorrow, we will be starting to traverse on Samambili for the very first time, which is really cool. As you know, a lot of leopard tracks go in there. It's going to be nice to go back to an old stomping ground. I worked at Samambili for just under 2 years, so I know it very well. So we're going to go and check it out. A lot of it's, no, you can't come here. Come. Back up. It's too close to fit. Come, back up. Let's go. Come on. It's being naughty. As you can see, he's right next to me. That's my head right there. But yes, if you need any details, it will be on the blog and on our various social media platforms as to the process that's going to be taking place. But I look forward to taking you guys onto Samambili. It should be really, really good. All right, I'm going to sit and have a little stern word with our Ellie Bull, who is going to come past us. Boy, you can't come past here. It's too close. Okay, fine, you go past then if you want to. All right, but while I sit and deal with him, let's send you back across to...
We are just sitting on Vuatella Access, enjoying, the scenic skyline. You can see the bright lights in the distance. A Matchbox 20 song just filled my head there. If any of you are Matchbox 20 fans, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a huge fan. Anyway, bright lights, and you can just see the tip of the Drakensberg mountain range. So we still have light. There's just not enough light, of course, to see animals. This is why we switch over into infrared at this time. But we can still stay in colour and show you the gorgeous skyline.
Well, we managed to move. Our Ellies have gone up the bank and crossed over into the little Gowrie, which is really good, but unfortunately it seems like Lauren has a bit of a signal issue, so hopefully she'll get sorted out fairly shortly. But that was a super cool sighting of Ellies to finish. There's something about having them in the dark that makes it that much more special. It's one of my favorite things actually to do when I'm guiding guests, particularly you do it when it's full moon, not when it's not like now when the moon's not up, but when it's full moon. If you can find a group of elephants, particularly in a very open clearing, so somewhere like the main dam in front of the lodge, and you have that water, then you just sit there and you watch these ellies come down in the full moon. It's absolutely unbelievable. So a really special thing to be able to do. All right, sounds like Lauren sorted out, so let's quickly ship you back to her so that she can say her goodbyes.
Sorry about that. Apparently batteries ran out. They do run out occasionally, now and again, and they ran out. That's why my voice all of a sudden went silent. But we're back, just enjoying the skyline. Oh, there's another vehicle approaching ahead. And I'm blocking the road, but never mind. So I'm not actually sure, Londeka, how long do we have? 30 seconds. So it has came to that time of night, everyone, where we must say goodbye. On behalf of all of us, of course, we very much appreciate you jumping on board. This is my last drive for about a month, which is very, very sad. And Davi's last drive will be tomorrow. And the two of us will be escaping on a little bit of leave, but we will be back. I can promise you I will be back. So on behalf of everybody, including andBeyond and Ngala, want to say the biggest thank you. Keep jumping on board, and we shall see you tomorrow. Good night.